Good morning and welcome to the special edition of Dr. Lamba's Awakening Call. 2 days more and the President Trump would be history. But whatever the so-called manipulated media might say, is Trump going unwept, unsung, unhonored? More than 70 million people voted for him. They are going to feel unhappy. And as the time passes, more jobs are lost because of the higher salaries being promised by Joe Biden. Those unemployed would be weeping for the days when the Trump was the president. As the share market comes down, the stocks come down, the investors would be unhappy. But then the issue is, why is it that such a build-up has been there against a person who has done wonders? I got it. You don't like it. But is it special of you? He has served American people. And what are you doing beside calling him names, laughing him about him, catching the China virus? And there were people who said that he hopes he dies. He is 74-year-old, a billionaire, doesn't need a cent, hasn't taken a single penny as salary, could be on a beach anywhere in the world, has worked his whole life, raised children who have work ethics out of this world. Possibly, he's the most hated man in the United States right now, diagnosed with COVID, still showing up. And then people say that he should be sent to jail. He should be ostracized. Why? Anyway, if Mark Anthony was alive today, how would he react to the departure of POTUS? With apologies to Shakespeare, he might say, "Hey, Yankees, ugly and quiet Americans, globalists and isolationists, I came to bid adieu." Nay, as the Gallic would say, au revoir to Trump, who trumped all the norms. I come to weep for thee. I come to praise the deep state and the ultra left for those finely honed conspiracies to destroy the people of integrity. I came to criticize Trump. For such persons who work sincerely are real buffoons. Sincerity is a sign of buffoonery. And he's a buffoon, say the Democrats. And the Democrats say he's racist, and that's condemnable. He's the first racist. And imagine, he dated a black woman. He deported an ex-Nazi. He upgraded King's birthplace to a national historic park. He posthumously pardoned legendary boxer Jack Johnson. He kissed the Western Wall. He loved his Jewish grandchildren and loves. He established an opportunity and revitalization council to restore the black neighborhoods. He signed a major criminal reform bill that even CNN had to praise. He granted Alice Johnson clemency. He loaned his personal jet to Nelson Mandela. He declared Jerusalem the capital of Israel. He moved the US embassy from Tel Aviv to Jerusalem. He has overseen the lowest black unemployment in history. He denounced David Duke 20 years back, he was given a Lifetime Achievement Award after paving the way for blacks to enter corporate America. And they say he is the worst racist ever. Well, they are men of integrity. If they say so, you believe it or not. There's no doubt he is a buffoon. I'm sure you will all agree. He's a buffoon because he signed two Middle East peace accords and ensured that the four warring countries become friendly. He built a bulwark against the racist regime of Iran. He approached North America and broke the bubble surrounding the war. Something that 71 years of political intervention failed to produce in Middle East, he did so. 71 years of war. But he is not presidential, say the Democrats. And Democrats are really people of integrity. Since President Eisenhower, he's the first president who has not engaged in a foreign war. Clinton engaged in 4 wars, Obama in 5 wars, and yet he is not presidential. And that's condemnable. He had his great impact on economic activity and he brought down unemployment to zero level for the blacks and the Latinos, and also for the mainstream Americans. And yet they say that he instigated riots. That is condemnable. But media and Democrats 28 times endorsed violence committed by Black Lives Matter and left wing activists. But they are men of integrity and they are honest men. He exposed the deep, widespread, long standing corruption in FBI, CIA, NSA, Republican Democratic parties. He turned NATO around and made them pay their dues. And yet, he is a buffoon and unpresidential. He neutralized North Koreans and he is not an achiever. He stopped North Koreans from developing further nuclear capability and sending missiles toward Japan, threatening the west coast of USA. And the Democrats say that's condemnable because he was extending his empire, but he never accepted a cent for the salary. The buffoon turned our relationship to the Chinese around bringing hundreds of businesses back to USA and revive the economy. And he is not an achiever, say the Democrats. They must be right because they are men of integrity and honesty, men of conspiracy. That's condemnable because that stopped Democrats from exploiting the unemployed and the unemployables. He appointed two Supreme Court justices and 300 federal justices, and that is bad. Though his appointees, men of honor like him, did not favor him when the time came. They were impartial. But Democrats say that these appointments are wrong, and they might be right because they are honest men and men of integrity. The buffoon lowered your taxes, caused your stock market to move to record levels over 100 times, positively impacting the retirement of the tens of millions of citizens. And Democrats say that that's condemnable because they are concerned with your welfare and they want you to be on welfare. They want you to be parasites. They want you to be dependent on charity. But then they are honest men and the men of integrity. He fast tracked the development of a COVID vaccine. We do not have a vaccine for SARS, for bird flu, Ebola, and a host of diseases that spread during the previous administration, and that's condemnable because how dare he bring the vaccine, which shows that the earlier administrations were not proper. And the Democrats say so it must be accepted because they are men of integrity. He rebuilt American army, which Obama administration had crippled, and fired 214 key generals and admirals in the first year of office. How dare he? They had been appointed by Democrats and were firing the darlings of Democrats. He is not being presidential, and that's a grievous fault. He uncovered widespread pedophilia in the government and the Hollywood. He got the biggest criminal conspirator with Clinton in pedophilia arrested, and the buffoon in the White House exposed worldwide sex trafficking of minors. And that's condemnable because that hurt Clinton and other mentors of Democrats. And they are people of integrity. Buffoon worked for free. He has lost over $2 billion of his own money in serving people and done all this and much more in the face of relentless undermining and opposition from the people who are threatened because they know they are going to be exposed as criminals if he was to be re-elected. He is condemnable. He is to be rebuffed as the honest democratic people say, as men of integrity, that we need to bury honesty, we need to bury integrity, fathoms deep. Truth has to be destroyed. Let such creatures and not pollute. Democrat system adieu. Fare thee well, Donald Trump. Hope you come back like Lazarus risen from the dead. Thank you. Now, friends, this is the supposed speech that Mark Anthony might have delivered had he been alive or had he come back and resurrected himself. But the point is that the man who became the president 4 years back, when the economy was in doldrums, taxes were high, unemployment was raging, America was engaged in wars, and he brought peace, he brought prosperity, he brought hope. Racist he was not. And right from the day one, what were the Democrats and the ultra left doing? Spent billions of dollars on the witch hunt, two impeachments, non confirmation of his people, betrayal by FBI and CIA while they were working, they were acting against the interest of the president and his policies. But as Mark Anthony would say, Democrats and their courts are honest men. And whatever Trump did was not presidential. No, I want to understand from these people. What does it mean by being presidential? Does presidential mean going against the interest of the country? Does presidential mean fighting a duel to win a war, win the presidentship, as one of the Democrat presidents did in the 19th century? He fought a duel. Does it mean shooting down people as some presidents have done? And mind you, he did not mobilize army even once, which Bush did twice, Clinton did, Obama did. And yet, they say in India that the taste of amla is a fruit in India, full of vitamin C, comes after a long time. And that's what's going to happen. After a couple of years, or maybe a couple of months of Biden Harris teamwork, the first thing that they are doing is raise the minimum wage to $15. And 28 companies yesterday said that they are going to reduce their workforce. So some people will get more salary, others would be unemployed. Then free college. How to do it? Increase the tax by 15%. That's what Joe Biden is promising to do in the first 10 days. How is that going to help America? I don't know. Giving Iran the right to manufacture nuclear arms, thereby destroying Israeli Middle East peace. How is that going to help the world peace? The future is murky. The future is dark. And then the people will realize that Trump was a blessing, that he was a president that America needs. He or people like him. Let's see which way the wind blows. But what the indications are, people are going to get tired of the new team shortly. Fascist, hypocrites as they are. And then they yearn for the return. Whether he returns or not is a different matter. But I wish Mark Anthony was living today and had given a speech, as I said earlier, maybe with better conviction and much more forceful. That's what is needed. I would say give my tribute to Donald Trump by quoting from Shakespeare once again. The elements so mixed in him that nature might stand up and say he was a man who would break but not bend, who would stand by his principles and act for the good of the people, unmindful of the carping critics. And that is being presidential. He was presidential. Thank you.